Yo everyone, how's it going? Is that Trans Guy Ben? Hello and welcome to my season 3 Killing Eve review. Hello and thank you if you've come to join. If my ramblings do interest you or whatever, I have written out like more notes and things to keep to a guide this time because I feel I've really I know I have rambled a lot the last times because my mind just gets lost on tangents. So I've got some notes this time and keep it all short and sweet.
You serious?
I've just done like top 5 funniest scenes, top 5 most emotional, you know, things like that, just to make it a bit more fun and not so I'm just blah. But sort of, I'll just do a quick kind of the season as a whole. So obviously there's my the ratings I gave it. In blue is where, in hindsight, where I've sort of, after watching everything and going back, I've brought a couple of them down a bit. I think I was maybe a bit generous, and I don't quite stick with them ratings now. But there's only a couple I've changed of and gone down a bit. So yeah, they're pretty standard ratings. A couple of 10s, what's that? 2 9s. So yeah, I enjoyed this season. I think it built things up very nice. Did it all pay off? No. I think probably a lot of people can probably agree with that. A bits didn't pay off, you know. When it all came to the end of it, and even though I give 3.8 of 10, so yeah, so let me get this up. That's what she said. So yeah, so like if you compare it to the other rankings I've given seasons, like even though in general I think I did prefer season 2, you know, sort of total scores in sort of enjoyment factor is sort of what I really rate it all on. Season 3 did better, and obviously season 1 doing the best, sort of winning by a country mile there. But I think, like with season 1 and season 3, I did enjoy kind of like individual episodes more, you know, and you can watch them out of sync, and you don't need to watch them in order, you know, you can. Whereas season 2, I wouldn't go and, you know, maybe only just one episode, the final episode perhaps. I'd watch it as a whole and enjoy it more. You know, I think it was better as a whole package. I mean, whereas season 2 was in both senses, the whole package and individual. Whereas season 3, I just think it was very good individually, but it didn't all necessarily at the end come through with a whole package. I don't think personally. So yeah, so the positives, like I say, just lots of enjoyable episodes, just lots of really good kind of standalone, you know, you can enjoy them. You know, the one which episode 4, you know, that was a really good episode. I think that was really cleverly done. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. And another positive, tried new things, and yeah, most paid off. Again, like episode 4, where, you know, it's sort of Tarantino, Guy Ritchie kind of esque, and you know, everything's out of order, out of sync, and they're mixing it up, and I really liked that. I thought that was really good. And even though I'm not mad on the Villanelle only episode, like, I'm not completely sold on it. There's parts I wasn't keen on, which I'll mention in a minute. But overall, it was something different, and they gave it a go, and it, you know, it paid off in terms of sort of long, in the long scheme of things, really. Even if I wasn't completely sold on the episode itself. So yeah, I just like that they did try some new things. Brilliant character development, I've underlined that. That is probably the highlight of the season. That's probably what you most take away from it. Just really great. And I'm not going to go into too much of this now because I'll do the character analysis after. If anything you take away, yeah, great, especially with our main 3 women. So yeah, I sort of put that as my top kind of positive. Funny. I think this was probably one of the funniest seasons, I think. Definitely. I mean, I obviously see lots of times in season 1 and 2 had me laughing, but I just think this is, I just think this is a really funny season. I just really and of course Villanelle, you know, we got, you know, we've got little crumbs for a couple of seasons, and we got some cookies. We haven't got all the cookies, but we got some cookies. Negatives. Barring the Villanelle, I've learnt their ship names. You trust me, as soon as that finished, I was like, research everything. yeah, non-Villeneuve, so excluding them two, the wrap-up was weak. Yeah, there's no... I don't think many will... Again, I don't think many will argue with me with that one. The Kenny wrap-up, awful. The more I go back, it didn't wind me up so much at the time, but the more I go back on it, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's not good, is it? It's very rushed, and yeah, it just felt... Yeah, they built it all up, and they just did nothing with it. They gave us nothing, and and I put Geraldine with that a little bit, but I thought perhaps suffered a little bit with multiple writers, and that probably covers the wrap up really. Because I didn't realise while I was watching it, I didn't realise I think till the last episode where I saw one of you guys comment that it did have 2 or 3 writers, I believe. Sometimes it works. I think that works when you've got 22 episodes per. When you've got one of those sort of shows. But, I don't know, I think when you've got a little, 8-episode arc like this, it was ambitious and it was good, but yeah, it just didn't always pay off, I don't think. I think perhaps, just because there was a couple of times where it's just... But I wouldn't be surprised if one writer wrote the episode, the earlier episode with Irina in it, and then another wrote another one. I don't know, she just kind of... Her character flipped, and V had a scene, in the scene in Paul's house. Perhaps because she'd heard about Kenny, and this was something she didn't know, and maybe she didn't know Konstantin was taking money and playing all sides. Maybe she didn't know that. I don't know, but there was still something that was a bit just didn't feel right to me. A bit OTT cheesy at times. I think there was a couple of moments where it was very funny, and there was lots of funny bits, but I feel it had a little, at times, a little bit of a cheaper feel. I bring the Villanelle episode mostly to that. Yeah, I don't know, just some bits, and I put in brackets Dasha and Bear, they weren't my favourites. I give Dasha a pass because I get it. The point is she is meant to be this over the top, Russian kind of washed up has been. But yeah, I don't know. It was just thrown in our face a little bit at times, I feel, and Bear as well. I don't know. That's just, I thought Bear was just a bit too much of him. He would have been fine with little sprinkles, but the gummy bear or whatever it was, the Fantastics, that was just. It's like, can you stop saying Fantastics, dude? Come on. And it wound me up with him being like, oh, shall I check the camera? Like, no. So yeah. And again, I sort of come back to that a little bit. A lot of time on characters we won't likely see again. They do this a lot. This is probably a little complaint I have. Maybe they didn't do it so bad, actually, to be fair, last season. We didn't get a hell of a lot of Hugo and stuff. But we've sort of learnt now, I think, like we won't see the Bitter Pill crew again next season. I'm fairly confident on that. Unlikely we'll see Geraldine unless what's her face is back. I don't know if she's coming back, but I doubt it. And there'll be a couple of the, I don't know if Eleanor, and it'll be another new big bad kind of thing. But this season, we got a lot of them. Like, we got a lot of the Bitter Pill, and I know we needed most of it for Eve. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's minor, picking little things. But yeah, so overall, a really good. I really enjoyed it. I don't sort of, I won't slate it or slam it or whatever. I did enjoy it, and I'll sit and I'll watch it again and enjoy it. But. And obviously the negatives can always become positives when season 4 comes around and they turn around and they explain a couple of things, but they do just have a bit of a habit of kind of, they always usually, they're good at picking up the Villanelle stuff, and perhaps Carolyn, but they're not great, Hugo got like a little mention, didn't he, at the beginning of this season, and I don't even know, did we ever find out what happened to, Elaine, was her name? I can't remember her name. From The Office, from the first season, because I liked Paul, I think it was, from the Bitter Pill crew. It'd be nice to see him back, but again, it's very likely to be a whole new crew, isn't it? Depending on where we go. yeah. So overall, an enjoyable season. I did enjoy it. But I do have a few more little niggles and complaints, sort of from this season. Whereas well, you wouldn't see me with too many, the last couple of seasons. All right, so my funniest scenes. I just put Carolyn. Carolyn was hilarious this season. Carolyn was Fiona Shaw. Oh my god, absolutely brilliant. Like that final scene with Geraldine. I honestly, when I was editing, I watched it about 20 times. Just that moment. I can't even think about it without really fucking bursting into laughter tears. So funny. Oh my god. That's the funniest, my funniest Kid and Eve moment, I think.
Dear Geraldine, I think it's time you left. That's it. That's everything you wish you'd ever said to me.
I'm crying. Oh my god. Yeah, that wins. That wins hands down. Then I put V and Dasher in Scotland. I thought all of that, from the minute they checked in to the minute she whacks her over the head, I thought that was all very funny, you know. I had to cut a lot of it down in my edit, just because the bit with the guy went on a little bit, but it was all very funny. And 3, I put Eve's sass. There's not necessarily one particular moment. I'm trying to think of the few I was thinking of, because she was really funny. Just in the first episode where, you know, Carolyn's just doing her spiel and she just chucks the can. And then, what's the one where he's like, oh, we shouldn't do it. And she's like, I'll do it anyway. That one. And we get it, Carolyn. You slept around. You had fun in the 80s or whatever she said, something like that. And there's a couple of other really just great ones when she's at Kenny's funeral. She's just getting mad at the door, and I just love. Yeah, I really enjoyed her kind of sass and I believe she's called Dark Eve. I've learned as well. That's not necessarily all Dark Eve, but it's kind of the bits that built to it. You know, I like Eve. I like when someone sticks up for themselves, when they're, you know, they are being sort of yagged on a bit.
Hey, did you make that up? I guess so. I thought it was a real word.
And so yeah, I really enjoyed Eve this season. And then next I put the clown scene, just again from pretty much just the ridiculous of it. You know, just how they're in these ridiculous outfits. You know, and they're going for a kill, and yeah, it was just really funny, just from you know, when she's yelling at the kids and what she say, life is shit, and you know, and right up until when she kills a guy, management sucks. Yeah, that was very funny, very enjoyable. And the flat earthers scene, I thought that was funny. And a couple of honourable mentions: the wedding punch up, I thought that was good fun. The baby in the bin, these hiccups. Carolyn and Paul. Oh, the meeting when Carolyn comes in after Kenny's death, and she's just, well, shall we start? And they're both trying to talk at the same time. I thought that was funny. But I put Carolyn, even though that is my favourite Carolyn moment. There were lots of funny little Carolyn moments. And then even V's little interactions in the showdown at other pools, 12 pool. Where they're, you know, Karen's just like, will you be quiet? They're just like two naughty school kids. Those were like just some of my highlights in terms of funny moment. All right, let's do biggest gags. So gags, shocking moments. You know, like not necessarily bad goods. You know, like, oh my god, OMG moments. Oh, they're all in capitals just to emphasise it. I've probably got spelling mistakes here, by the way. I'm slightly dyslexic, so I apologise. Biggest the kiss. Of course, biggest gag. Like, oh my god, I was screaming. Like, is it real? Is this real?
Hi.
Is this fucking real? This is real. This is real, right? Ah! I didn't know what was going on, but I loved every minute of it. Right, so yeah, easy. Kenny's death. that was a big way to, start off the season, and that's why yeah, not go into that again, but yeah, but for the moment itself, like, wow. Dasha's demise, I thought that was quite, for the first bit, where, that probably was the most, where just V just turns around and just whacks her. I was like, oh, but poor Dasha, she gets like a triple whack. Then Eve comes and stamps on her. For Nico, both Nico getting stabbed and then the surviving 2 episodes later, just being like, look, I met it, like, just, yeah, that was a gag. And obviously 5 being V killing her mum, blowing up the house. That maybe might have come higher, but by the time that, like I've said in the thing, by the time that rolled around right at the end, I saw it going that, maybe not the blowing up the house and killing the rest of the family, but I think she was always going to have to kill her mum, I think. Honourable mentions, Carolyn killing Paul, and all that sort of stuff. Konstantin's heart attack, Irina killing her stepdad, and Geraldine's introduction, just the what the F? just the fact that A, Carolyn had another kid we didn't know about, B, that it was, I want to say Gemma Whelan. I really want to say her name is Gemma Whelan. If it's not Gemma Whelan, I'll do a title, but I'm so sure it's Gemma Whelan. And her introduction just being like, huh? Alright, so best emotional moments. Both good and bad, happy, sad, just bits that were like, oh. The bridge scene. You saw me there. I was, oh my goodness. When Eve, I can't even think about it. Oh, wanker. Yeah, beautiful scene, really beautiful scene, really well done. Pulls at your heartstrings. V's breakdown, I kind of put both of them in there, really. The one where she's just killed her mum and everyone, and she's, and she's on the train. But obviously the big one being, I don't want to do this anymore, and that sort of scene after the bungled sort of kill. Number 3, I can't stop thinking about you. Both sort of parts. The part where V's kind of she's going in there and she's trying to be all kind of like, sod you, Eve. But ends up telling the truth, and then later on Eve being like, sod this bear, sod you, V, but not being but not being able to not cuddle it or whatever and put it close. That was a nice little scene. V confronting her past, yeah, so that meaning just a lot of that episode really, but mostly the stuff, the stuff with her mum. And again, of course, Kenny's death was very emotional, very sad. And honourable mentions, Carolyn in the car, I think on the funeral episode, I believe that might have been, where she's playing the music and she's mourning in her own way, in sort of Carolyn's way. Mo's death, no, I thought that was sad. I like Mo. Dance. Oh, and the dance scene in the final episode, that was sweet. That was really sweet. And then I just do is that all the sub? Yeah. And then I just do like my best scenes as a whole. There's a couple of crossovers here of things I've already mentioned, obviously, but number 1, the bridge scene. Yeah, of course. Blur. The second, the bus scene. The pretty standard. 3, V and the mum's confrontation. All that scene. That was really great. Carolyn and Konstantin in the car, I really like that scene. I thought that was just built things up really well. And again, it's disappointing because it's something that was never really, he said it then, so he's obviously said it as a distraction. I don't know now if that was necessarily true, and they did talk about that. Probably not. He was probably lying. The V and Carolyn scene, I thought that was nice. It was nice to get them in a scene together, even though we got a little one, I think, last season. But it was nice just the two of them, and just V thinking about her future, and just Carolyn being Carolyn, and keeping things straight to the point, and all that. The Eve and Kenny scene from the first episode, I thought that was a really nice little scene, and obviously sweet, and it was something that would be important probably to Eve now in times to come, something to remember. But yeah, it was a nice, when Eve's getting upset and he can just kind of gently, he puts his hand on her, and yeah, it's just a nice scene, between a couple of friends and that have been through a lot, really. Carolyn venting, when she's when Geraldine's like, oh, you got to let it out, and she does. I thought that was really well done. And because I just didn't have a place for it, I've just put it as an honourable mention. I thought the scene with Kenny's girlfriend, whose name I still haven't caught, I thought that was a really nice scene, where, Carolyn's like, it's okay to cry and don't be embarrassed. I thought that was a really nice little touch there. So I just wanted to give that a little honourable mention. That was nice of her, she didn't have to do it when she's going through her own grief and stuff, but it was a nice thing for her to go out her way and do. The Eve and Dasher scene, where they do the bowling, I thought that was really good, and and sort of Eve's, that she's not intimidated at all at this point. I think maybe perhaps she would have been a couple of seasons ago, but she's just not. Carolyn confronting Geraldine, the one where she finds out that she kissed Konstantin, and she's talking about, you were your father's, Kenny was mine, and all that sort of stuff. I thought that was a really well done scene. Just a heart to heart, but as much as a heart to heart as Carolyn can really have. And then even Paul comparing notes. I thought that was a nice scene. Where she goes to stay at his house for a little while, and they're both sort of comparing scars and how they've messed up in life and stuff. I just thought that was a nice scene. It was good for Eve, I think, to get that, to know she's not the only one, that's going through some shit. It's people go through it every day, and perhaps that was a sort of way for her to get a grip a little bit and kind of get on with it, and so yeah, I think that was good for her. But yeah, so they're like my favourite scenes just overall, just in terms of drama and acting and all that sort of stuff. Right, so let's do seeing what season 3 predictions I got right. So they were kind of vague again. I've got better at it this time, so I've got better ones for season 4. If it's in black, I got it wrong. If it's in red, I got it right. And if it's in yellow. So my first sort of big prediction was we're going to get some V flashbacks, or just find out more about her past, her relationship with her mum, and her mum is going to play a big part in who she becomes. And I specifically mentioned the hair. I knew she had be in a bonnet about hair. There was obviously something psychological there, and we do see the mum used to have crazy hair, in her youth. We saw that with a photo, and so yeah, so I take that. Obviously, I didn't get the flashback bit. It wasn't necessarily a flashback, but I'll take that point. Yeah, I was really glad for that. I'm glad we got some really good Villanelle kind of backstory. That was great to get. I said Konstantin will end up being V's dad. No, we found out, who her dad was. Well, we didn't find out who he was, but we obviously found out she was close to her dad. And all the rest of it. So I think that fear is probably dead now. And the next one I got wrong. Nico will be out for revenge against V. I really did think he'd have a bit of vendetta. He'd be sort of... He kind of did lose his mind a little bit, not in that way, so I can't take the point for that. And sort of for 4, I said it will be a slow burn start to the season, which it sort of was, bar the Kenny bit. Otherwise, it's pretty slow burn, but I meant more in terms of Eve and V, which is why I put it in yellow. I said Eve will be in hospital, which she wasn't, and V will be struggling mentally, which she was. And the roles will be reversed from like season 2 opening, as in I thought Eve would be in hospital and V would just be doing anything to forget about it. So it was kind of right. Eve wasn't in hospital, but she was, they were both just distancing themselves completely from each other. I mean, Villanelle got married, for goodness sake. So yeah, I take like a half point for that. Konstantin or Carolyn would die. We had a couple of scares, but no, that didn't end up happening. So yeah, a couple right, a couple I'll happily take. I'm proud of the hair. I'll take that, and the mum stuff. But yeah. All right, so let's see my Killing Eve predictions for season 4. See what you agree with me. Let me know what yours are, by the way. Right, I think Elen. If not Elen, though, whoever's now the big leader, but I think it might be Elen. She might come back. We'll be sending out regular hits. Hitmans on Vive. Oh my goodness, on Eve and V, on Villanelle. Yeah, I think so. Which sort of leads me on to the next one. Eve and V will be on the run or in hiding. I think perhaps more in hiding. I don't think we're going to get the on the run yet. I think that's end game. But they're going to be in hiding. They're going to be together, and possibly joined by Carolyn later in the season, who I think will also be in a bit of spot of bother after killing Paul. She's now also going to be a target, I think, but perhaps she can get away with things a little more and play the game a bit. Next one, I don't need to explain that. Come on, bow chicka wow wow.
Yeah, boy.
Come on, we need it. It's gonna happen. Come on. Villanelle is gonna stamp Eve's card. I can't say. This is a wish. This is a demand. Yeah. Come on. If Jodie and Sandra aren't exchanging messages right now, like, oh, I think we're going to be having some makeout scenes, then I don't know what's right with the world. Right. Carolyn or Konstantin more likely will die, and it will be a big betrayal by Carolyn, I think. So, yeah. So I sort of stick with the same one I gave for last season, that one of them will die. I think it will be more likely Konstantin's. It's just been teased, and he's completely kind of on his own now. He hasn't got really anyone that trusts him anymore, and so I think it might go the other way. I think he might reach out to try and get some help, and it could be Carolyn that betrays him. I don't know. Obviously it's hard to kind of get too specific with things without even having a clue how it's all going to go. But if Geraldine is still in it, so if Thing is going to still be in it, if she's cast, then she's definitely going to be involved, and she probably was involved, and they've kept it under their hats, or maybe they realised it wasn't everyone's favourite thing about the season, that she was a bit useless, and so we'll use her. But that's only if she's going to be in it, obviously. I don't know if this is going to be the final season or the penultimate, or if they've got how many they've got planned lined up, really. Shows like this, I imagine, don't go on too long. I can only really see a couple more seasons in it, to be honest with you. So if it is the final season, even V will end up in Alaska, so they have to be on the run, and they go and they're fine, and they make a nice little life for them in Alaska. If not the final season, it will leave it on a big, massive cliffhanger that V's died, kind of like Sherlock-esque. The episode where. So everyone will think V's died. Maybe even us. Maybe they might not show us, but they likely will. So yeah, something like that, I think. But it won't be Eve. Eve will be mourning her, and that could be the big betrayal, perhaps. So yeah. If again, this is another if Irina is in it, if they do bring her back into it, which I actually don't think they will, to be honest with you. But if they do, I reckon she'll escape, or she'll get released, or get rescued, and she'll join the 12 and kill Konstantin. So, because I think she's gone now. I think she's gone mentally, and that kind of switch in her head, it will be aimed at Konstantin, because he hasn't been there and all that sort of stuff. She'll regret it afterwards, but yeah. So I don't think they're going to go there, to be honest with you. But it's a long shot. These are all long shots, obviously. And again, this is more a wish, but it would be nice. Some Eve backstory. We got a great sort of Villanelle backstory. But it'd be nice to get some Eve backstory. We don't know a lot about Eve, we know she was always interested in this since the first episode. She was interested in the macabre and killers and all that sort of stuff, which is fine. That doesn't have to mean anything. I'm interested in all that, and I don't have like a dark backstory or anything. But yeah, it'd just be nice. It'd be nice to just see her family, or because we don't hear from them a lot. Well, we don't hear from them at all. We don't really know anything about her, bar. But that first season, we don't know anything apart from she's married to Nico. Oh, that's the point. They'll get a divorce. That's another one. I forgot to add that. I don't think he's going to be in it. Wishing, not against the actor, but just, no more Nico. But yeah, I think we'll just get like an off comment like divorce. But yeah, so then I've gone into a bit more detail this season, so that means I'm probably most likely to be wrong with everything, apart from that one. but yeah, let me know what you think. If you agree with any of them, if that's where your mind's going, or what you think, your predictions or your hopes. Well, I think I know most people's probably hopes. But yeah, okay, so now we'll just do character development. Oh my god, I'm sorry, my phone's going off. It's snowing in England. It's big news. It's just big news. All the chats are just alive with the sound of snow. Right, so let's start with Eve. Eve has had a really strong season. So for every season, for anyone that's not caught any of these reviews, I think for even V only, I think of like 3 or 4 words, to describe what I think the season they've kind of had. So for examples, for Eve season 1, her words were determined, obsessed, and unhinged. For season 2, her words were scared, excited, tired. And for season 3, I sort of put in I put over it, which kind of covers tired. But yeah, over it, she's done. What does that say? Oh, dark. Dark and fighter, kind of. I put them kind of as they're kind of opposite ends. Like, there is a fighter in it, but it does go dark. Like, she's sticking up for herself more, and she's I don't know if she's got more of a backbone, so I think she always had a backbone, but I think it sort of ties in with the over it. She's just over it, and she's just not taking any shit, basically. But it does veer over into that darkness a little bit. But yeah, like I said in one of the earlier reviews, there was not complete role reversal with the two, but she is certainly getting more V-like, with just her snaps and her sass and things like that, and obviously the darker stuff. So her words kind of the same, not massive change, sort of along the same kind of part, but there is a new strength to her, but with that strength, does come a little bit of darkness. So Eve sort of starts out pretty, she's not in hiding, but she's not. Well, she kind of is in hiding, actually. She's more just, she's done with everything. She doesn't want anything to do with any of it. She's got herself a little job, just working in a kitchen, in a restaurant, and I think she's in a little flat somewhere, and a little bed sit or something. And, she's just hiding from the world. She's hiding from everything, But, of course, once Carolyn shows her that picture, and she's alive, Eve, boom, she's back in it. She throws up immediately, and she's, the pretense is gone. And obviously, I think she probably still would have started again with that, but Kenny's death was obviously the double whammy. But of course, she actually, with Kenny's death, she meets the Bitter Pill crew, and sort of that becomes her office, really. So she doesn't go with Carolyn. She kind of still is chatting to Carolyn, they're friendly. And and obviously V is once again just very much on her mind. But I think, because last season she spoke about the fear to that therapist guy, didn't she? I think a lot of that fear is gone now. I think the fear is just acceptance now. It's just she's accepted this kind of mad kind of life, and sort of the final bridge scene tells us that, really. You know, she's tired and she wants to know how to make it stop, but she's just tired of it all, but she still doesn't want it to stop, you know. So, you know, she has this perfect, V gives her just this perfect moment to, you know, to say that it can stop. There's an easy way to stop it. Just you turn around, I'll turn around, walk away. That's it. We'll never see each other again. You know, you can go back to whatever life you want to lead. And Eve can't do it. She can't do it. She can't. It's too far gone now for her. I think she's still too deep into all of it. I do think the biggest part of that is Villanelle, but I still think a lot of it is the 12 and all that. You know, I fully, even though Carolyn said cold turkey, you know, I fully expect them, you know, her to be doing her own thing and researching it and try and bring them down, because it's taken too much from her. You know, I think she holds the 12 a lot more responsible than V. She just hasn't got the fear anymore. She hasn't got. I think she's probably got it, but I just don't think she cares, because she's lost everything essentially. She really has. We see that right at the beginning. So yeah, I think Eve had a really, really great season, and Sandra Oh was really good. My only perhaps little complaint is she was a little bit underused. I think there was a couple of. Yeah, you know, I think we missed her in the Villanelle episode. Just, you know, would have been nice to have a couple of episodes, a couple of scenes spliced in, and but yeah, a great season for Eve. And so we go on to V. V had a really good season, a really strong season, but very different season. It was a very different feel for V. So yeah, so V's words. V's words for season 1. I you know, at the end of season 1, I wrote ruthless, obsessed, naive, sad. You know, there was a sadness to her. My season 2 words were lonely, unhinged, obsessed, denial. And my season 3 words are learned, regretful, distracted, and hyper, which I sort of put in both. So yeah, so I think the big 2 are sort of learned and regretful. So learning as in she's learning. She's learning about things. She's learning about love. She's learning about family. She's learning about right and wrong for the first time, I think, or regretful about it. You know, you can sort of put both those words there. And she's regretful. She's regretful about things she's done. Yeah, and she's done with it all, sort of thing. And so she's hyper. She's hyper at the beginning. That's why I put hyper. She's quite hyper at the beginning because she's just not. She's just blinking it all, isn't she? She's trying. Like with distracted, she's still trying to be something. I think she now knows she's not. She does that a few times, you know. I think all the early kills were very sloppy for V standard. You know, the first one we see, I think it was in Spain or somewhere, where she's trying to imitate Dasher. I felt that was very sloppy for V, and we see that, you know, that the clown one ended up being a big mess. Well, not necessarily her fault, but it still ended up being a mess. There was just, even from, I think that was probably right from the, you know, the last things that happened in episode 8 of season 2, just from Konstantin dropping the family bomb, you know, that some of her family is still alive, and obviously her hurting Eve. She's just in complete denial, and I think all she thinks she has left is the 12, so I think she just tries to jump both feet in. You know, which is why she's just going on about wanting to be a keeper and wanting to go up the ranks. I don't think she really does that, but that's all she thinks she's got left. But you can see at times it's not what she wants really, but it's all she thinks she has, or maybe what she thinks she's worthy of. But then, so 2 things obviously bring about a big change. So first she finds out Eve's alive, and boom, already. But straight away, you know, she's got to go to England to do a kill, hasn't she? But the first thing she does is go to try and intimidate Eve. I'm not too sure. You know, I don't know if she was going to just brag, boast. You know, she just went to start the cat and mouse again. But then what she wasn't expecting was the kiss. You know, I think she was fully expecting the punch up and all that, and for Eve to be mad. But then when Eve turned around and kissed her, I think that was the first. That was just like a bam. Like, you see it in her look, and she's like, it's all, you know, it's almost as if what was going through her head was like, why is she kissing me after what I've done to her, you know? And then obviously that would lead on to, because I think if that had happened in an earlier season, she would have gone a different way about it. Because there was something that I think switched in her mind then after that. Jodie Comer does it really well with just when she does the look back at the bus when it's going, just that kind of, like, she can't believe it. She can't, but not in a, yeah, I hope you know what I'm trying to say. I can't explain it, but there was just, she just knew then. She knew something. So that was a big part, and then obviously the second big part is when she, because it's on her mind all the time about her family, you know. It's Konstantin planted the seed in her head, and it is a distraction. And so she gets that, not closure, but she gets a little bit of, like, I think it gives her a bit of a boost, a bit of a moral boost. And then her family's on her mind, and so we go through that journey, and just her having to go through all that, which I won't again go into in too much depth. I did go into a lot of kind of detail with that. Her mum's, you know, behaviour towards her as a child has a big part of it. So you know, both those things just completely throw her life out of whack, and just change her forever, I think. So I did again. I went into detail just how I think that her killing her mum, and her mum, I think, was always a trigger for her. She was always a trigger. Every kill she probably did, she was probably, if not directly thinking about it, it was just a little in the back of her head. You know, and she was killing her every time, or killing her past, or something like that, you know. And now that trigger is gone, because she did it, she erased it. You know, when there's a problem or something and you get rid of it, you relax. But in her case, she can't relax, because she now realizes all what she's done, and she's got remorse for the first time, and she just hasn't got the drive to do it anymore, because it's not there in her head anymore. So she's lost, and she's obviously, because she jumped both feet in at the beginning with this whole, you know, going up further in the 12, she's now kind of stuck in the limelight with them, and with this new woman, Mylène, and, you know, and she's shaky. She's not there, and for the first time we see that's her main concern. Eve's actually not. I mean, she's a concern, but it's not. You know, she wants out when she's since with Konstantin, and like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want out. And he says you have to leave everything, even her. She's like, she would have accepted that. She wanted out. She just wanted a fresh start, I think. You know, and because she bunged up the she bunged up both kills. She messed up the one with the guy, and then she with the golf course, and obviously hitting Dasher. She's in a mess, and she's basically on the run as well as Konstantin. But he ends up having a heart attack, and so that all gets messy for her. And so we obviously we end with the Eve and V stuff, and how she's learnt from that, and that's completely different as well, because she's now got this remorse, and I think she now understands how bad she treated Eve, and just the fact that she was able to give Eve the option to walk away if she wanted to, and she would have let her, whereas last season she didn't understand that. It was all possession. It was all, she couldn't understand why someone would walk away from her. She couldn't understand, you know, it was all about her. It was what she wanted. Didn't take Eve's, what Eve might be thinking into consideration. Whereas now it's all whatever Eve wants. You know, and like I say, she was always going to turn back around. V was, I think. But if Eve hadn't, she would have let her go. She would have called her. She wouldn't, you know. She would have given her that. I believe, because she's learned what love is, and she loves her, and 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 I think that's confirmation to her and to us that Eve loves her. When Eve says we both consume each other before we got old, I sadly I do think that's true. I as much as I want them to end up together, I think it'll be a very hard run for them, because they are both different but so alike at times, and that'll clash, and they both have the darkness, and I mean, whichever way they go, but I think Villanelle had a really strong season as well. And right, so Carolyn I've only really touched on before. I won't go into massive detail, but she's kind of been there in past seasons, and she's been funny. She's had her little moments and her quirks, but she's only really been there. We haven't really got as insight into her, We've seen little bits with her and Kenny and stuff, but this season we really got to get a good look at her, a good sort of look into her proper true character, and a bit more insight. Got a bit more trust with her, I think, because it was hard to build up a bit of trust with her last couple of seasons, because it was so vague, and we do know she played about a bit, and and she had a really tough test this season, like she probably had, I'd put it as probably one of the tougher tests of all the characters, because she lost a son, which is tough, that's rough, so, and not only that, but she always knew it was dodgy, when she didn't end up being dodgy. Well, it sort of did, but it wasn't. And she knows there's a snake in the grass in Paul. Well, she doesn't know necessarily confirm that first it's Paul. But she doesn't trust him, and she doesn't trust a lot of people working around her. I think Carolyn just had a really, really interesting season, and I'm glad we got a lot more Fiona Shaw, because I enjoy Fiona Shaw. I'm sort of finding myself looking for things she's done between I only really know Harry Potter is the only other thing I've seen her in, I think she still keeps her cards close to her chest for sure. There's still a lot to learn, definitely, about Carolyn, but I'm glad we just got a little bit more of a peek into it. And like I say, it sort of ties in, I guess, with Geraldine. I don't think Geraldine was the best. I don't know. I don't use the word pointless, but it was a good counterbalance between them both, and sort of just a way to. Geraldine was there to get us into Carolyn's kind of psyche, I think. So I enjoyed Carolyn a lot this season. And Konstantin, so Konstantin is tough, because Konstantin's one of those where I root for him a little bit, because he's like a lovable rogue. He's just, and he has this kind of Father Christmas almost like persona, in a way, like, but he's a sneaky fucker. he's a sneaky motherfucker. Yeah, and I didn't really realise it until it sort of came to the end and doing all this, but he's just playing everyone. He's just absolutely, but he's sort of almost a little bit like V in earlier seasons. You give him a pass almost, because he's just got such bubbly. But he's sly. He's so sly, and yeah, he had a very kind of busy season. He was very busy, but he was busy just, so he's stealing money. I don't know whether he was doing that all along, like right from the beginning, and and it's just something they brought forward, or it's only something he recently did at the start of the episode. And the Kenny thing, like, I mean, again, that sort of ties in with just the bad kind of Kenny wrap up. I would have preferred it if he had killed him, to cover his own tracks, even though it would have been, end of sort of liking his character, really. I would have preferred that. It would have been a bit, I don't know, a bit sloppy still, but I think it still would have been a better wrap up. So he's been lying all about the Kenny thing, and if that's all that was, why didn't he say? And but that again, that ties in more with just that being a sloppy storyline really ended up being sloppy. But yeah, and he just you know, and he's dipping on Irina, his own daughter. You know, he treats her horrible. He does. He's not a good father. And again, I tie in with sort of Irina, that I understand. Like I gave her a bit of a harsh time in her last episode. She was irritating me a bit, but I get it. I completely get it. Like I understand. Yeah, if you think you're, you know, well, when you are being sort of dipped for someone that isn't even blood relative, you know, we've only seen it for, you know, a couple of seasons, but, you know, V's been with him, I think, for a while now, and it would have been, you know, something Irina, you know, she is being, a non-blood person is being picked over her, and it is all Villanelle, and you know, that will suck to experience, and so it has made her cold, and it has made her, you know, so he's, you know, I sort of gave Villanelle a bit of blame, but I think he's probably created this monster in her as well, and yeah, it did become a case for her for, all right, if you can't beat him, join him, and yeah, and she's now leaning that way, and I think as someone commented, it is almost her sort of trying, like, all right, if you prefer a killer over me, then I'll become a killer. So he's kind of responsible for that. He's got to play the bigger part. Yeah, he's not a good person. Konstantin's not a good person. I generally think, you know, I hope a part of him cares for V, and I think a part of him does. I think in that final scene, you know, with him where he's like, come with me, and she says no, and he's like this, you know, you're not family. I think that generally probably hurt him. I don't know where they can go with Konstantin now. I really don't. I don't know what's left for him, if he will just disappear into the ether, as he says. But yeah, I thought he had an interesting season, but yeah, the sort of going back and watching it, I was kind of rooting for him at times, but yeah, but now I'm just like, oh mate, you've reaped what you sowed, you know, you really have. So Paul, 12 Paul, yeah, I thought he was a decent villain. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's pretty good, isn't he? Playing like darker characters, and yeah, you know, you could tell he was dodgy from the go. So yeah, I thought he was he was a decent little character. You know, I won't obviously go into too much detail with that. I really like other Paul. I think he was one of the best, if not the best, kind of sub-character. So he was like, that's a bit of Paul. He was realistic, you know, there was a very realistic feel about him. He was just, you just got the, you know, the idea that he was just someone just wrapped up in all this, in over his head a bit, but accepting it and just kind of, you know, gets engrossed as well. And he's had a hard life, and so I really liked him. I do hope, I don't think they will bring him back, but it would be nice if they did. Whereas Bear, nah, not so much. I'm not so fussed about him. I thought he was a bit over the top, maybe. But again, he is just another guy that's been caught up in it, and which is the point. You know, he's Joe Average, just in an office job. You know, that he probably couldn't give two shits about, and just got caught up in all this mess. So, and I like the girl. I can't remember her name. The Irish girl, Kenny's girlfriend. But we didn't really get enough of her really to go into that. And so Dasha. So yeah, so you saw a little bit of my thing on Dasha. I do think she's a bit corny, a bit over the top at times. I thought she came in strong. I think got a bit tired, but again, like I say, I get it. I get the point they were making. She is over the top. She's supposed to be, because she's sort of washed up and she's done, you know, and all this. Yeah, and then obviously we got a little bit of Nico. Yeah, let Nico be now. He's done. Like, yeah, like I am generally now like, poor guy. Like, just let him be. He's you know, he's fucked for life now, pretty much. You know, he's talking through a bloody machine. So let him be, Eve. Let's call a spade, or a spear, or a fork. Let him be. Just. And so we come on to our final portion of this review. this long review that I said would be 20 minutes, and I've got to edit now over an hour of me waffling. So we come on to the MVP. This was the toughest one, by far. Easy, like, no lie, the last 2 seasons, these weren't easy, by a country mile. But this was bloody tough. This was really tough, like, literally between the main 3 women. So, just missing out, but I still just want to give her another honourable mention, is Carolyn. I think Carolyn was absolutely brilliant this season, and if she doesn't get MVP, I give her, I don't know, OG. She gets a nod. I'm not wearing my cap for the first time, but she gets a nod of the cap, like, well done, ma'am, very good. Fiona Shaw was brilliant. I give her heavy kind of props. But our MVP of the season, we have our first tie. I couldn't pick. I couldn't pick. I have loved them both, and I just think, yeah, we got, our little Villanelle ship kind of, it's on the sails. It's sailing well. It is, it's on the seas, and everything. The masks are up, and it's sailing healthily for once. So I was like, no, I have to give that props. And I just think both Sandra Oh and Jodie Comer have just had brilliant seasons as well. And yeah, I have to give it. I have to give the double. I have to.
I'll go along with it for the sake of the moment.
So yeah, our MVPs of the season are Villanelle and Eve. Vin and Eve.
Are you still in touch with her?
Oh, God, no. I'm totally done with her. Done with that.
When we'd met, I just had a really bad breakup. I am so much happier now she's dead.
No one's claimed it. She hasn't been active for months.
Eve, she's alive.
Hot summer streets and the pavements are burning. I sit around,
I think I need to kill you.
trying to smile, but the air is so heavy and dry.
When you love somebody and they don't love you back, it's really shit.
It's a cruel, cruel summer, leaving me here on my own. It's a cruel,
I can't stop thinking about it.
cruel summer. Now you're gone.
You wish I was here. Admit it. You wish I was here.
She's moving up in the world. You'll never touch her now.
The city's crowded, my friends are away, and I'm on my own.
Hi.
It's too hard to handle, so I got to get up and go.
Smell me. I don't want to do this anymore.
It's a cruel, cruel summer, leaving me here on my own. It's a cruel, cruel summer, leaving me here on my own. It's a cruel, cruel summer. Now you're gone. You're not the only one.
But yeah, thank you so much. Let me know if you come back for another show. I said that really loud. Let me know if you come back. If you're popping back for another show. I think I'll recognise some names. And you come back, because otherwise it'll be a little while, I think. But yeah, again, just yeah, thank you all so much, just for being really cool and nice and friendly, and I hope my waffling and my kind of just OTT mostly, just me being a prat, watching a television show, I don't know how this has become like something entertainment, because I love watching reactions as well. It's very odd. It's very weird, isn't it? How we find enjoyment in watching someone else watching something. Anyway, but hey, if it's something people enjoy for 20 minutes and it's something that keeps me busy, you know, even if only 20 people watch, I'd probably still do it, just because it's just a distraction, isn't it, at the moment, and there's not much else going on in the world. So yeah, it's all been good fun, and yeah, I do hope my sort of next crew of people that do find me are as friendly and, you know, spoiler free and all the rest of it as you guys. All right then, guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care. See you on the flip side. Peace out. Bye.